Volvidon is a fanged beast introduced in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. He resembles an armadillo and lives in hot regions like the desert or the volcano. If you recall, Azoras and Lagombi were also introduced in this game, and Volvidon fights similarly to them, occasionally performing different swipe attacks. He also shares the same theme as them. Like Lagombi however, he also has unique traits that differentiate him from Azoras. While Lagombi slides, Volvidon rolls. Rolls to the left, rolls backwards and forward. He rolls to reposition himself as well as attack. Something funny to do is smack him when he rolls towards you. It causes him to roll backwards and collapse. Anyway, when Volvidon is in position, he will use his tongue to attack from afar, and getting hit will draw you in as he prepares for his next attack. He can also fire paralysis globs from his mouth. Volvidon can also leap into the air and land, causing tremors. And he can release toxic gas from his body which causes stench. Like Azoras and Lagombi, he later appeared in 3 Ultimate, with some G-rank additions. Here he can swing his tongue around in an arc, and he can perform a series of smaller slams that have him go all over the place. Volvidon skipped 4 and 4 Ultimate, but returned for Generations. In this game he can now jump around like in 3 Ultimate's G-rank, but otherwise gets nothing new. In Generations Ultimate, he once again performs his tongue swing, and generally moves a bit faster. Volvidon skipped World, but appeared in Rise. In this game, he has access to all of his attacks, except for the tongue swing. His fart has now been changed so that it comes out from his behind, rather than all over his body. In Sunbreak, he attacks at a faster rate. Wait, that's it? Is it really true that across every single entry Volvidon has been in, he only gets 2 changes? A tongue swing that isn't even in Sunbreak, and a jump attack that barely hits you anyway. Oh, and don't forget Rise making his fart attack look even more like a fart. Why is this the case? So what gives? Why has Volvidon received so few changes throughout the series? Well, let's look at Azoras and Lagombi. The scripts for their respective videos are over double the length. This is for a few reasons. The first is that Lagombi appeared in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and he got quite a few changes in that game. The second is that he and Azoras got deviant forms in Generations that are also quite a bit different. In fact, Azoras also got an Apex form in Rise. I've covered a lot of monsters in this series now, and you do start to notice quite a few patterns. Monsters that were introduced in Portable 3rd, such as Zinogre, Azoras or Lagombi, got little to no additions in 3 Ultimate. Some of them, like Zinogre or Duramboros, at least received a subspecies, but some simply got an attack or 2, which is the case for Volvidon. If a monster returned to 4 Ultimate, they usually received some of their biggest changes yet. The Zinogre we know today was defined in 4 Ultimate. Daimyo Hermitor got some of his best changes, Kushala, Teostra and Chameleos as well. Volvidon did not appear in this game. Now he and many other monsters that weren't in 4 were in Generations, but the problem here is that Generations had less development time and around 70 monsters to implement. Some of them last appeared in Freedom Unite, so they had to severely revamp them, such as Lavasioth or the Shogun Cyanator. It was even harder in Generations Ultimate with 93 total monsters. Volvidon was simply not a priority. And then we look at the 5th generation, where they more or less remade everything from scratch. Volvidon appears, one of his attacks was reworked, but other than that, he, Azoras and Lagombi get very few changes. Likely because again, they're not really a priority compared to monsters like Rathalos, Zinogre, Gyrotodus, the Elder Dragons and more. There is also the possibility the developers simply have no ideas for Volvidon. Let's look at what he does. He rolls, he uses his tongue, and he spits paralysis globs. The 2 new attacks in 3 Ultimate involve his tongue, and him rolling around in an unpredictable way. It says a lot that the only additions came in the next entry and nothing else. I myself can't visualize this monster doing anything he hasn't already done, except for maybe a pin attack. Maybe he could fire more paralysis globs, maybe he could swing his tongue in different directions, but it's all just variations of things he can already do. Perhaps you could give him a subspecies or a variant. What if he expelled poison gas that lingered in the air? What if he left fire on the ground as he rolls? Similar to Violet Mizetsune. Generally, it's hard to think of new things for him, which might explain why he's been so neglected. My favourite Volvidon is the Rise one, only because I learned how to use the bow by fighting him. It's a cool matchup, dodging around to avoid his tongue, aiming as he rolls around and dodging out of the way. It was a good time. I don't feel strongly about many of the others though. I want to end this video by saying Volvidon has really made me rethink this series. The original criteria was this, because in theory, it keeps the video interesting. If I were to discuss say Kureyaku, the video would just be, this is how he fights in World, this is how he fights in Rise, like and subscribe. More game appearances means more things to talk about and compare with. But Volvidon and Ludroth made me think that actually, if these two qualified despite barely any changes, then perhaps I could discuss monsters that have appeared less with even more changes. I've made other videos that are kind of like the Evolution ones, like the Shigaru Magala or the Lagayakris video. I intend on doing more, like with Valstrax or potentially Plesioth. But now I'm thinking I could just make Evolution videos for them instead. They'd surely be more interesting than Volvidon, that's for sure. Like Mizetsune, who, despite being in 2 games, somehow has 4 different variations. Discussing the differences could be fun. And this time, nobody will interrupt me. What's your favourite Volvidon? And how would you make him more interesting? Furthermore, which evolution videos would you like to see, in terms of monsters I have not yet covered? Let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe and have a good day.